You just won your lawsuit in the Supreme Court. Each year, beginning on the designated transfer date, and each quarter thereafter, the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve, where you get your money, shall transfer to your agency from the combined earnings of the Federal Reserve System the amount determined by the director to be reasonably necessary to carry out the authorities of the Bureau. It says the combined earnings, not the revenue. Now, for the longest time, the Federal Reserve was earning money, but that stopped in September of 2022. Now, they are losing money. They don't have any earnings. They're no longer transferring earnings to the general fund. And the Supreme Court based its decision on saying that this funding scheme is constitutional under the Appropriations Clause by saying that these earnings would go to the general fund from the Federal Reserve, so getting them directly from the general fund is no big deal. How are you entitled to any money right now? The Federal Reserve doesn't have any earnings.
Well, we've heard of this theory. I think it's one of the latest.
It's not a theory. It's a congressional.
Well, I think you raise the difference between revenue and net income. There are other places throughout our laws. I can tell you we've looked at this issue. We do believe wholeheartedly everyone is complying with the statute.
I know you believe that, but if you look at what,
I'm aware with what you said.
If you read the, just finish my question.
Sure.
If you read the opinion, and I did, and you read the statute, it says here, bigger than Dallas. You can only get your money from the Federal Reserve out of earnings. Now, the Federal Reserve has not had any earnings since September of 2022. Isn't that correct?
No, that's not correct.
Sure, that's correct.
Net income.
All you have to do is go.
But they've generated lots of fees and income, and I appreciate what you're saying. I'm happy to discuss this with you, but I think we've looked at this.
My point is every penny you've gotten under this congressional
I don't think Congress wants the CFPB to be suddenly
gotten. If I could finish my thought.
Sure.
I know you don't like to hear this, but the law is the law. You've been operating illegally.
No, that's not true, sir.
Yes, you have. There have been no earnings. Doesn't this put in jeopardy every one of your rules?
We've heard this,
and every one of
well, you're
going to hear it again because it's the law. We didn't say revenue in the statute. We said earnings. How can you possibly argue that the Federal Reserve has had earnings that lose money?
I'm happy to discuss this with you, but we have looked at this theory before.
I know you have, but
yeah.
I'm over. I'm sorry. Tell me.
Well, hey, everybody. I don't know if y'all could make heads or tails out of what that was saying. So what I done is I asked the Copilot AI, Microsoft Copilot, to help me figure this mess out. And this is what we came up with after I had to edit it a little bit. So y'all hold on. And she's going to give you a computer AI. I call it a she. Going to give you the really explanation of what this is. In layman's terms, I told her to give it to me as if I was a person with learning disabilities.
I'm sorry, but still don't understand the difference between the agencies. And he says that one doesn't have any income or hadn't been making money, and then he said you were doing this illegally.
No problem, I'll explain it in a simpler way. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, is an agency that makes rules for financial companies to protect consumers like you and me. They make sure that banks, lenders, and other financial companies treat us fairly. The Federal Reserve is like the central bank for the whole United States. It handles big-picture financial things like setting interest rates and making sure the economy runs smoothly. Now, the CFPB gets its money from the Federal Reserve, not directly from Congress. This is unusual because most agencies get their money through a process where Congress decides how much they get each year. The CFPB's way of getting money was designed to keep it independent, so it can make decisions without political pressure. Some people argued that the CFPB getting money this way was not following the rules of the Constitution. They said it was illegal because the agency should get its money through Congress, not just ask the Federal Reserve for it. But the Supreme Court, which is the highest court in the land, said that the CFPB's way of getting money is okay. They decided that the CFPB can keep getting its money from the Federal Reserve and that it's not illegal. So, Senator Kennedy was concerned about whether the CFPB was getting its money in the right way. He mentioned that the Federal Reserve wasn't making money recently, which could be a problem for the CFPB's funding. But since the Supreme Court said the CFPB's funding method is legal, it means they can continue to operate as they have been. I hope this makes it clearer for you.